All right. How are we, ladies?
Good, thank you.
I just thought this would be a really good opportunity to sit down with and turn the cameras a little bit on Belinda, who doesn't really talk too much about her coaching journey. We're very fortunate to have Belinda down in Adelaide and to assess one of our top female coaches in Cody George and hear her journey. But I guess Belinda, maybe talk a little bit about your journey of coaching and I guess now a lot of the mentorship that you've passed on to a lot of coaches in Australia and now obviously had that mentorship with Cody.
Well, thanks, Sandon. Mine's probably a little bit different to most coaches in the sense that when I did my level 1 and level 2 when I was 18 years old, and I did it because at that time there was a playing requirement, you had to be playing pennant, and I knew that I probably didn't want to play that much more. So I quickly got the standard and I got my qualification when I was 18, 19. And then I went on to do a teaching degree. So I finished my teaching degree, but I always coached. So coaching was always a part of me. It was the way that I got my pocket money. So through uni I coached, and when I became a full-time teacher, I still continued to coach. I was coaching 15 hours a week as well as a full-time teacher. And then as I kept going through my teaching, I started to find that I probably started loving the coaching more than I did my daily teaching.
So because you didn't like being in the classroom, you like being outside?
Well, I was a phys ed teacher.
Yeah.
I suppose maybe I actually felt like I could make a difference to a smaller group as opposed to I was teaching a lot of kids. You teach, 300 in a year.
Yeah.
And probably I probably learned to love a sport that I didn't love when I was playing. So I learned the love of why tennis was a big part of my life. So I actually got an opportunity to coach 10 and under. I got given the graveyard. Nobody wanted the Friday afternoon 10 and under girls squad in Victoria, so I took it with open arms. And that was probably the opportunity that changed my career because it started to make me realise that performance and talented players was where I wanted to be. So then I gave up my teaching job to run a club. I went and ran a club with a friend. And that was great. Learned lots of new skills and we had a ball together. But Tennis Australia was luring me and I actually started what was at the time a touring coach. I was employed on a contract as a touring coach. And I suppose the time away made me realise that I couldn't invest in the business. So I actually then took on a role at Tennis Australia. And then after realising how much travel takes away from your life, about 5 or 6 years later, I then went into coach development. So I've actually just probably progressed until where I probably am best, which is a teacher, but now with coaches and not of students.
So tell us a little bit about your new role now. I guess I know you're working along Scott Draper, who's come back in as well. So obviously someone still mentoring you, so you've got a mentor in Scott as well.
Yeah, and Scott's definitely raised my level. But also the beauty about my new role is, so I always sat in participation, but I ran the high performance course. So everything I was trying to do was striving towards performance and how we could help coaches become the best versions of themselves. But I was sitting in participation, so there was a little bit of there just wasn't the vested, I suppose, commitment by the participation team in the space I was working in. So finally, Performance created a coach development team. So, it's a strategy that Performance think it's important to invest in coaches. And it's the first time since I've been at Tennis Australia where Performance has done that, and it's really exciting. And to work along Scott, who also is a coach of corporate people as well as coaches, has definitely brought a really nice dynamic to the team. And then we have Chris Cachel, and his coaching experience is just a beautiful blend.
Yeah. So I guess with a young coach like Cody that you've mentored in the last few years, I mean, how important do you see that journey I guess with Tennis Australia, especially across the country, not just tennis as a sport, but trying to get more females into the coaching journey, similar to what you've gone through. Like, and now Cody, finishing up her high performance and is really a talented coach in that space. Like, where do you see that journey for young girls moving forward?
The one thing that I probably used from my experience that I wanted to change for coaches like Cody, who always showed a lot of talent, is I feel like I didn't get looked at, and nobody really even respected my voice or had conversations with me about performance was until I started to actually show them that I could get players to win nationals. And so I feel like I had to do all of that work to prove myself. I didn't want someone like Cody to have to go through those experiences. I actually wanted to help her with those experiences and the learning around her, that we actually helped nurture that, and that was just part of her as a coach. It wasn't that she had to prove anything to anyone to be able to then be recognised and felt like she belonged. I wanted her to know that she belonged from the start, and we were just there to help her be the best that she could become.
And Coach, so how's the journey been? Obviously, how many years when you started? Obviously, I know travelled a fair bit, but been in Adelaide here. How many years has it sort of taken you through that to get into your high performance coaching position now?
Yeah, sure. So I did my JD when I was maybe 20, 21 or something like that, and then Club Pro, I think when I was 23, which is when I actually first met Belinda. She came to Adelaide to help facilitate it. So yeah, now 28 and just finishing it up. So probably, 8 to 10 years, something like that, to, I guess, get this amount of qualification.
Yeah. And I guess give us some of the challenges along the way, or some of the things that you've enjoyed about it, but also the challenges in that space.
In terms of doing the assessments.
Well, that's probably the biggest challenge, right? The assessments, but the challenges in the coaching side of it, any at all, or you fairly been confident along the whole path of what has been presented to you?
Well, I think a lot of the challenges have been eradicated by the stuff that Belinda's put in with a lot of the all the professional development I've done in my career has literally been run through Belinda, so I guess that's been a massive part of it. And I guess in being part of the Club Pro and then doing the next gen high performance as well into the high performance, I've kind of always been a part of one of those courses where you're actually in a network that Belinda creates. We have WhatsApp groups and that kind of thing, so you're always a part of a group, or I have been lucky enough to be anyway in my coaching journey, that you do have that support and everyone's talking about the challenges and stuff like that as well, but nothing major or out of the ordinary, I think.
Yeah. And so where do you think like young girls today like to have that, I guess, as part of their makeup a little bit, coming along in junior development, and you I guess mentoring those young girls, like where does the whole coaching thing sit for them outside of, yes, if they're not going to develop into this world of a superstar tennis player, where does the coaching thing sit for them early in their development piece?
Well, I think even in just the past 2 or 3 years, or maybe a bit more, there's been like a massive growth in the opportunities for females with female-only courses, the scholarships that they've given. I've received quite a few of them for the courses. Even a lot of the roles that they're putting in through females in tennis and the funding they've received. So there's really more opportunities than ever, I think, for females in tennis and moving into coaching.
Yeah. And do you have any goals in mind for the next part of this after your performance is finished?
We're just to, I guess, put it into practice on court now, all the stuff that we've been doing. Looking forward to being back out on court and actually getting to put that into practice day in, day out, all the different stuff we've been doing.
Yeah. Would you have any, not suggestions or ideas for a lot of the programs that Tennis Australia is putting in place, as far as, the Billie Jean Cup stuff that they do, and the Foundation Cup, with just around the girls in tennis and aspiring to be young tennis stars? Any advice to them?
In terms of advice to help the programs, or to them?
Well,
in what would be in the program?
Yeah, both,
yeah. Well, I guess advice to them is that even if you don't, I guess, reach that level of tennis playing, that there are so many opportunities in the sport now. you know, whether it is coaching or working in the MA in different departments like that, but especially in coaching, I guess I've seen firsthand the opportunities that are starting to come through that maybe weren't there when Belinda was there, but that she's helped create for people. And I think there's just more and more, it seems to be.
Yeah.
Or you could come and work in coach development.
No, it was just great to sit down with you two. I just had this idea to have a chat to you, and I think both done an incredible job in your coaching journeys, and I know Belinda, I've known her for a while now, so it's great that she's been able to mentor someone like Cody, who is on her way to being was already a great coach and moving forward into where she wants to get to in the coaching journey. So thanks for your time, and I appreciate having a quick chat.
Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you, Sandon. That was